This is breaking news this go around. As you can see, Fox News reported a mistaken missile alarm today. An of theirs, um, an employee of theirs, mistakenly during shift change, hit the alarm. So I'm gonna bring that to you within the next minute. I'm tripping on myself right now. Hold on, here I come. But of course, I got to share the screen and put this disclaimer up here because I don't need that trouble. I'm reporting this shit to y'all behind Fox 6 News, and I truly don't need that trouble in my life. So, with that being said, let me get to this right here. And let me get you that right there. And let me get to this business about this alarm, people. Hawaii governor, wrong button pushed during shift change. Well, here it go.
The new Dickies Flex series is built for performance with superior mobility.
Sorry about the commercial, folks.
Durability, all backed by their unconditional satisfaction guarantee. Dickies Flex, engineered to move. Learn more at dickies.com.
It was a procedure that occurs at the change of shift where they go through to ensure that the system is working and an employee pushed the wrong button.
Came down to a person pushing the wrong button. Who is that person?
It's one of our it's my responsibility, so this would be my fault. The whole purpose of this is that the change of shift briefing is for each shift to understand what is the process. We'll take action to prevent this from ever happening again by having more than one person here to do this, make this decision, or work on equipment changes. But again, let me finish the investigation. This is my fault, and we'll work on so that this doesn't ever happen again.
So, folks,
and as we're all trying to get down to the bottom of exactly what happened, why it happened, we want to play some sound that we have from the Hawaiian governor saying it was, in fact, a wrong button that was pushed. Listen.
Early this morning, an error was made and a false alarm was sent to cell phones and to TV and radio. We investigated, and as soon as we became aware that it was an error, took action to send a notification that it was a false alarm. This should not have happened. We are investigating the sequence of events that occurred. An error was made in emergency management, which allowed this false alarm to be sent.
And that was the governor of Hawaii giving us a statement there. You can only imagine, what's happening with the person who hit that button. Let's go ahead and bring in Brian Yanis, who's been following this story for us. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Laura. I think it's important that we kind of put this in perspective here. The Hawaii Emergency Management Agency has about a 30-slide presentation that's on their website, and it's called Emergency Preparedness. And in that, it goes details into what would happen if there were to be a nuclear on Hawaii from North Korea. If we pull up this slide, just to give people an idea, remember there were 38 minutes between when that message was sent and when it was a correction that was sent that it was a false alarm. But look, the launch to impact only takes 20 minutes from North Korea to Hawaii, and this is the process in which it's supposed to happen. If there were ever to be a launch, the U.S. Pacific Command in Hawaii sends a message to the state warning point, which is the Hawaii Emergency Preparedness. 5 minutes are then, there's defenses that are set, notifications are sent, and then between 5 and 10 minutes, the sirens go off, an emergency alert system goes off on the televisions and the radio and on the phone, and within 10 to 20 minutes of that launch, folks are supposed to take action. And I think it's important here to realize just how little time people have in the event of something like this. So for 38 minutes to have gone by, given the fact that there's only really 10 to 15 minutes for people to actually built into this, for people to actually to respond to a ballistic missile, it's scary to say the least. I think it's also important to reiterate and underscore the point that we've heard from representatives and senators from Hawaii who say that, look, they only have minutes to take action and that there are no designated blast or fallout shelters in Hawaii at funding for them. And so when people are told to take action, it is quite literally the Hawaii preparedness plan for people to stay indoors, stay away from windows. If you're driving, to pull off to the side and go into a nearby building, or literally to lay flat on the ground. And I think, again, that is the official emergency management plan if something like this were to happen. I think it's also important to note that part of the Hawaii's emergency plan is a monthly siren test that's supposed to occur the first working day of every month at 11:45 in the morning. And look, what we've heard from the White House was that the White House says that this was something that was planned by the state, that this was purely a state exercise. But the only thing we've been able to find in terms of something that is clearly planned is a statewide siren test. And even when that happens, that is something that's given with notification. People know that a test is going to happen. It is an alert that's sent out for 50 seconds. It pauses for 10 seconds, and then the alarm goes off for 50 seconds. So what I'm trying to say is, though, when the state does have a monthly test on its sirens, it's planned out. People know what's going to happen at the first of every month. It lasts for about a little over 2 minutes. It doesn't last 8 minutes. And a frightening amount of time, given that people are told that a launch to impact only takes 20 minutes. So I think a lot of people have their eyes open right now as to the lack of, they have the plan, but the lack of options that are for people in the event of a possible ballistic missile attack. We're also seeing tweets from people. John Peterson, who was in Hawaii, he says that in reaction to receiving this incredible message on his phone, he says, quote, "Under mattresses in a bathtub with my wife, baby, and in-laws. Please, Lord, let this bomb threat not be real." Another person tweeted, Jillian, "Sheltered in place in our bathroom with our pets, but I was sobbing the whole time trying to get East Coast family." We have a tweet also from Brian Schatz, who is a senator in Hawaii. Again, false alarm. What happened today is totally inexcusable. The whole state was terrified. There needs to be tough and quick accountability and a fixed process. So obviously a scare, but I think more questions right now as to this. Is that the White House is saying that the state was going through some sort of exercise. We can see that with the siren tests that there have always been some sort of notice about those tests. In this case, clearly something went way off and way wrong here, and I think there's going to be a lot more questions moving forward.
What exactly the plan is supposed to be for the fine folks of Hawaii and those visiting. Just the idea that the plan is to lay flat on the ground, get away from the windows. You're right. You bring up a lot of really important issues that you found there with the state of Hawaii. Thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention. We'll continue to follow that part of the story as well. Brian Yanis for us in our New York newsroom.
Hey, y'all. If that ain't about the craziest mess, I don't know what this video is. Okay, I think this is the one where the guy's talking.
Security expert Jim Walsh, who is going to talk to us about one thing, and it turns out we have to talk about this Hawaii situation. Jim, as an international security expert. What do you make of this?
Yeah.
This big oops.
Well, Kelly, I've actually had for a while. First, when the Japanese started doing drills, and then when Hawaii announced that they were going to do drills, I never thought this was a very good idea. Now, the U.S. used to have civil defense.
Why was it not a good idea?
Defense against the nuclear weapon. You know, as your last report suggested, laying down on the ground is not going to do anything to prevent you from being killed. We used to have a big civil defense program in the U.S. because it just didn't make any sense because there was no defense against nuclear weapons. There are consequences when you do have civil defense. You know, hopefully everyone in Hawaii is going to get through this fine, but there may be people who have health emergencies as a result of this. There may be people who suffer injury, you know, children or expectant mothers or those with pre-existing mental health conditions. I mean, there are real consequences to scaring the hell out of people. And I just don't think it's going to matter. I mean, if there was a nuclear attack, there's nothing Hawaiians could do that would change that outcome.
Hawaiians do, for that matter, as we heard from Phil Keating, what can people in Alaska, California, Oregon, Washington, all those places in range of any kind of potential attack or possible attack, as we've heard, threatening regime of North Korea.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. I mean, that I know that's the message people don't want to hear, but that has been true since the beginning of the nuclear age.
Well, let me back that up. What can we do?
Had 20,000
let me interrupt you
nuclear
1 minute.
Pointed
Let
at
me
us,
interrupt you 1
and
minute, Jim.
you know, there's so explosive on a scale that people don't appreciate. You know, look at those pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Jim, I get that.
It's just a different order of magnitude.
Okay, Jim, I understand exactly what you're saying about a nuclear attack. My point is, my question is, what should the United States do now to prevent the nuclear buildup that we know is taking place in North Korea?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's
you know, right now we're in a hopeful phase because things have paused because of the Olympic carrying momentum forward, maybe not. But the biggest way to protect ourselves is we freeze North Korea's program so it doesn't grow any larger. It's not, you know, and more accurate, sophisticated. Begin a process of trying to put constraints and rolling it back. But job one is to pause and then freeze. It's on a different track. But what, you know, it's a lesson. It's a lesson in the nuclear age that people find really, really hard to accept. For millennia, we always defenses to protect ourselves. But in the nuclear age, the weapons are so powerful, you have to use other currents and you have to use diplomacy. No defense.
So has today's false alarm enlightened us seriousness of any potential threat from North Korea, or for that matter, any other rogue nation that would seek to do us harm via a nuclear attack or
I think that's a
terrorism?
great question. And I hope more journalists ask that question, because there should be a conversation about what this really means. And it's sort of, Kelly, you know, indirectly and surprisingly, it touched that other story over the weekend of the CDC canceling its course or its workshop on, you know, how to prepare for a nuclear attack. That turned out to be controversial, and it's sort of all tied to the same subject. And I think we as Americans, you know, since we've sort of forgotten, and very few people left from Nagasaki and Hiroshima, we've sort of forgotten what the real meaning of nuclear weapons is and how fearful it can be. So I think that if there's any good that comes from this false alarm, it would be that we can begin to have a real discussion about that.
All right, Jim, we'll end it there, and the discussion, no doubt, is going to continue. Jim Walsh, thank you.
Okay, fam, I think I'm going to end it right there with that one.
And as we continue to follow
Yeah,
the developments
basically.
of this breaking story out of
Be
the
quiet,
Hawaiian,
sir. Yeah, I basically get where I'm coming from with this. So this is going on. So drop in the comments, people, and let me know how you feel about that one. And as you know, I famously say, I'm out, fam. I'll holler at y'all later.